Welcome, my beautiful souls, and welcome, my gorgeous Aries. This is going to be a special love reading for you. If you've ever wondered, do you have a true soulmate? And we have a lot of soulmates, but where is your soulmate that hopefully you get to spend the rest of your lives together? Soulmates are always connected eternally. So, what I'm going to do in this reading is I'm going straight to our spirit guides and I'm asking 6 specific questions relating to, well, really everything. But I'll tell you what I'm going to ask your soulmate's subconscious thoughts about you right now. And I said subconscious, but it can also be conscious. Some of you may know who this person is already. But I feel that there's more who just hasn't met them yet. I just haven't met you yet. And then we're going to switch that question around, and it's going to be your subconscious thoughts on them. Then we're going to ask about 2025's potential of you meeting. And what I mean by that is, my spirit guides know that I don't like to read like what's going to happen next year or the year after. I want to know what's going to happen now. What can we look forward to and what do we need to know so that we can be ready? So, 2025. It's not a typo. A lot of people think I mean 2026. I don't. We only have a couple months left, but I definitely felt guided to do these readings. For I think I've done well. I still have a few other signs I have to do, but this is just something I was guided to do. So, number 4, did we love in this lifetime and or a past lifetime? And what I've been finding is there is a lot of past life love. Um, and this just may be the time. It just may be the time. Number 5, divine's energy that's supporting this union. And I'm saying union because, again, my guides know that I'm not looking for any old love. I'm looking for your true love. And then number 6, we're going to use the major arcanas to see what's actually connecting the two of you. So we'll use the major arcanas for that. Everything is already pre-shuffled. I'm thinking, should I shuffle it? You know what? Just going to do a shuffle real quick because I feel that the majority of you, you like to see that the cards are shuffled. So we're going to do that just real quick. I'm going to cut them. I always cut my cards. And to me, like I feel like you do whatever you want at your own table, like set your own guidelines and what have you. So with me, like what I've told my guides is when I cut the cards, it means I'm ready. It's a symbol that I am ready and I am open because I merely am the messenger. We are going to use the light seers to answer the questions, but then we're also going to take crystal vision above and a gilded tarot below. So, one more shuffle. Give him a cut. And we'll open up this reading. I don't know why. I already feel like it's going to be beautiful. I just feel that. So I hope that's the case. But I feel like my guides are allowing me to feel that. Okay, so we will use these. Well, let's go ahead and cut them real quick so they're ready. These will be for question 6. And then I also have the romance angels ready in case we need them. And then I also have the cosmic tarot ready. So we are now officially opening up the tarot portion. So this is going to be for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising. Um, some of you are intuitively guided. You don't know if you have Aries in your chart, but somehow this video was put before you and something pulled you to it. That's your spirit guides. That is your spirit guides. All right, so I am going to start with Mother Mary and just ask her if there's anything that you need to know or would help you to know right now. Compassion. Well, that makes sense when we're talking about love. Compassion. I see and feel others' points of view with forgiveness and kindness. Compassion reminds me of like the Empress, right? Empathetic, compassionate, but nobody's full. But I kind of love this because, I definitely feel a lot of you have had a lot of spiritual growth. And to me, that means that you're able to feel energy. So I feel like, I don't know, I get this feeling that Mother Mary is talking about not carrying the weight of yesteryear or the things that maybe didn't go your way. Um, but maybe someone caused that, you know what I mean? So, anyways, compassion. Compassion from Mother Mary. Compassion. Oh, all right. So, let's go ahead and begin. Just going to calm my mind. And the rest will follow. All right. Number one, your soulmate's subconscious thoughts about you right now. Queen of Wands. Interesting. I love the image of this queen because I feel like this queen is someone who can rise above, and that fits perfectly with Mother Mary's message. Like, I'm not going to get caught in anyone's drama. This is someone who is definitely action oriented, follows their passion, and this is what they think of you. You know, um, I'm not going to say there's no fear as it relates to love, but I don't feel they feel that like that you do, if that made sense. So the Queen of Wands, which you are fire, look at this. Look at this. The King of Wands, right above. It's like they already know. They already know that you fit together. You fit together like chocolate and peanut butter, like jelly and peanut butter. King of Cups. So is this someone else? I don't think so. I think this is talking about their energy. Number one, I feel like what it's saying is, well, I love number one that we have the king and the queen of wands. And I'm not even thinking about the sign, like it has to be fire. I'm looking at how they're like minded. They probably have similar goals. Of course, that's you. You're one of them. This king, it seems like he's become one with this lion or tiger, lion. And to me, that represents a strength card. The things that I've overcome. And it's interesting because the King of Cups, I don't really feel this as a person. I mean, it could be Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, but I don't feel that. I feel this is talking about the energy that they're able to give now. Maybe it's taken time, um, and it could have taken both, time to get to this point. When I see a king or queen, I do feel like in the upright, by the way, that chances are they've mastered something. So this is emotions. And the King of Cups to me is someone who really does love love, but that doesn't mean like, you know, maybe when I was a teenager in my young 20s, it doesn't mean that I was perfect in love. I mean, no one's perfect in love, but I feel like this is saying they are now ready. They are now looking for their king or their queen. You know, it's interesting because I feel like what you're seeking is also seeking you. The king and queen just so happens to be of your suit. All right, well, let's keep going. So we're just kind of reversing the question now, and this is you looking at them. We have Page of Cups. We have, interesting, two pages. The Page of Swords. That makes me feel like some of you may already know this person in this lifetime and probably from an earlier time, definitely from an earlier time. Especially because we're seeing two pages and sitting right next to a king and a queen. And you know what? I feel like each had different lessons that they were learning. That's the one thing we have to remember about like soulmate love or twin flame love. There's other things that our soul came into this lifetime to accomplish. Um, and yes, love is part of that. But I feel like for some of you, you've had to kind of trust in divine timing. The Page of Cups to me, which is you, is your inner child. That's the playfulness. That's the unencumbered, like I'm not going to let anything get in between. And then the Page of Swords above that. Well, I have a feeling this king had to learn, like, how to use his voice in a way, let's just say for good. This may be someone who uses their voice, like for a living. Whether it's like I give advice, I give wisdom. It could be something artistic, like a singer. Um, let's see what goes below it. The Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles. Independent success. This is the energy of feeling independent also. And I feel like what this is saying is, part of the holdup, so to speak, because I don't really feel like it was held back. I just feel like it's about the right time. So I feel like it was important that both have this sense of independence within themselves. Aries, I do feel like, I feel like a turn on for you is someone who is intellectual, someone you can have real conversations with, but is also action oriented. This makes me feel that both are doing pretty well as it relates to their money. And when I see the Nine of Pentacles or the Nine of Cups, I do feel like it's singular energy, but that's okay. Maybe that was the purpose. Maybe both were building up their careers and now they're ready for love. Now we're ready for love. Okay, let's keep going. 2025's potential of you meeting. Well, there's that King of Wands again. Now the King and Queen are mirroring each other as they're also connected here. Interesting. I will flip out if we get the Queen. Three of Swords. We'll see what that's about. And then the Page of Swords again. Um, I feel like this is going to be communication. I feel like for some of you, you had spent, well, let me just say, I feel both ways. I feel previous life, something was left undone. Like something happened that caused heartache. And it may be energy that feels a little bit like it followed you. And if that's the case, you probably have felt in love, like I'm sure you were in love before, but you may not have felt that ultimate, like ultimate fulfillment. Now, if you know this person, there may be apology coming your way. There may be communication. And it's interesting because Mother Mary, I see and feel others' points of view with forgiveness and kindness. So if you know this person in this lifetime, and I don't feel like that's everyone, but you'll know, you should feel it, then I would say get ready for some type of communication coming in. I definitely feel the growth, right? We have the pages. It's interesting because I have a feeling that both the Queen and the King have gone through this Three of Swords. I feel like in a past life, for sure. And I also feel in this life, whether it was the two of you and one ended up, well, probably both really, ended up in some heartache. It feels like that's about to change. If I allow, remember, the ball will be put in your court. You can say yay, you can say nay. And don't remember, or I mean, remember that it's okay to reach out if you know who I'm talking about. I feel like this king knows that he or she has caused some heartache, whether it be a past life and this life. And because I now know that, what I'm feeling is like for those who were together in this lifetime, I feel like it took some time for this person, let's just say person, to realize your importance in their life. Now, if this is asking or if they're asking for forgiveness, of course, that's going to be up to you. And I am not talking about, if someone was like a narcissist or someone was an abuser. I would just say no. I would just close the door. I wouldn't answer the phone. I mean, this is not what my guides know this is not what we're looking for. We don't want abusers or narcissists to come back. So I don't even feel like they would suggest that. I feel also there may be two who recently became single at the same time. You don't know this yet, or maybe you do. But I get this feeling that a lot of you don't know this yet. But the similarities here just makes me feel like, I may have been connected to someone. It didn't work out. So I put my focus on my money, on my career, and doing very well, by the way. Um, but I also feel the same for your soulmate. I definitely feel like this person has had tremendous growth. And I even like the way, the lion is in front of this king and behind this king. This king looks like he is here, right? Like he is now here. And I do feel like he is here. All right. So did we love in this lifetime and or a past lifetime? Seven of swords. Okay. Hello, Will. That tells me yes. You definitely had past lives. But I have to say, probably 80% of the readings where I'm doing the soulmates have had past lives. But I feel like this is coming back around again. That's why we're seeing the wheel. This means this is destined, part of your destiny. And then the Nine of Wands, which is perfect. And why? Because the Seven of Swords talks about the potential of untrustworthy energy. They call it the thief in the night. And I just get the sense, and I don't, I hate to keep putting it on the king because it could be the queen. It is mirroring the queen, by the way. That there was, there definitely was something. Well, I'll be honest. I feel that this king is saying, when I was younger, I was not the best version of myself. But with the Nine of Wands here, they now know that. They know that. Like, I definitely feel that I understand the pain that I've caused. What's that saying? We hurt like we always hurt the ones we love. That's kind of what I feel here. And I keep going back to Mother Mary. So I feel like that's how the conversation may go. Like, hey, I've been thinking about you. How are you doing? And this is for those who know who this person is and something happened in this lifetime. And I do feel like it was, I want to say back in the day, like back when we were pages. And I feel like this king is going to ask for forgiveness. First, I feel like they're going to say, I realized my actions. I realized that I hurt you. And I've lived with that. I've lived with that. And I mean that they lived with it in their heart. So it's almost like it's a regret, is what it is. It's a regret for hurting you. Now, remember, it can also be the other way around. That may be why I said don't be afraid to reach out if you do know who this person is. But I feel like there's something also of a past life. So there could have been a very similar situation in a past life, and this lifetime is about working it out, coming together, right? The Nine of Wands definitely is realization. You're right. This is like reflecting back, but it really is about how one has grown. I call this my spirit warrior, this person. And, the Seven of Swords doesn't have to be cheating. A lot of people read that as cheating. It can just be lies, like, but that's not good either. But you know what I mean? Like, it could be like someone who just had a hard time telling the truth. And why would that be? Well, because I didn't want to face the consequences. But again, you now know that. They now know that. Just realize we also have two nines on the table, and we're in the universal year nine. So this is the end of this 9 year cycle and the beginning of the next 9 years. So the wheel is a good symbol here right now. I feel like when this conversation takes place, I do feel like butterflies. Um, I'm thinking, can you forgive? Can you forgive this person? I think you can. I think you can. I think you can. And, what I would say is just be open during the conversation. Just be open to what they have to say. Yes, use your logical mind in making a decision. But I feel like the wheel is saying this was meant to come back together and it was meant to come back together now. I say now, I mean, by the end of 2025. So I love that this person understands their own actions. I do feel like this person has lived with regret, almost like you're the one that got away. Okay, well, you know what? We'll come back and clarify some of this. Let's continue. So, divine's energy that's supporting this union. The King of Pentacles can be Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. But because we're talking about divine, we want to think about what is this King of Pentacles energy? Well, it's interesting that he's sitting right next to the Seven of Swords because the King of Pentacles is someone that I feel is very loyal in the upright. Um, Even I love that he's holding a pentacle in his hand because that relates right back to this Nine of Pentacles. And by the way, take this pentacle, add it to the Nine of Pentacles, we then have the Ten of Pentacles. And what else I love is just how laid back he is. You can definitely see just the salt and pepper within his hair and his beard that to me it just symbolizes growth. It doesn't mean that they have to have, salt and pepper. Um, but I feel like it's a symbol of their growth. This doggy down here, I feel like it's their spirit guide. Hmm, I like that. It's almost like divine was protecting you, unless it's the other way around. Um, putting time and space in between this so that someone could come to these realizations, so that someone could mature. And that's what I feel. I feel that back in the day, I just wasn't, I wasn't thinking long term. But now I am. And I feel like someone's out there going like, well, too bad. And again, it is up to you. But I feel like the wheel is symbolizing that there really is change. Let's go above the king. We have the Five of Wands. And beautiful, the Empress. So this is connecting you. First of all, Five of Wands, the first thing I'm noticing is the five, which is change, sitting right next to the wheel. Five of Wands can be drama, but because it's talking about change, I don't feel like it's today's drama. I feel like it was, you know, let me put it this way. I feel like there was a lot of ego, and I feel the same like in a past life. I feel like someone just, well, I feel like this love in a past life wasn't able to be all that it could be. I feel like, our humanness came in between, right? The Seven of Swords is definitely what I would consider lower vibrational energy. But sometimes, well, a lot of times people will grow out of that. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening here. This person did grow out of that. This person does have the realizations of their past mistakes. They know the heartache they caused. And I love that Divine is bringing out the Empress, because the Empress is a perfect example of, real love. The Empress is loving, nurturing. Um, but she is nobody's fool. You know what I mean? Like, and another great thing about the Empress is she trusts her energy above all. Like, she's not someone who builds up walls. Now, she may have in the past, but she also has learned from her experiences. And this is how she truly becomes the Empress. I feel like the Empress has walked the walk of all the queens, the good, the bad, the ugly, but ultimately coming into the Empress's energy. So she's not going to just say yes to anyone. And it's not that I do feel like she would forgive if that's what she feels in her heart. And I kind of love this king sitting above the Empress. I feel like time was important here. And, sometimes we want what we want when we want it. But if, let's just say, the other person hasn't matured as you have, well, then we have to deal with that. But now that the Empress is here, the Empress doesn't accept lower vibration. Or let me put it a different way, the Empress doesn't lower her vibration to be with another, even a soulmate. She would require that their vibration be of a high vibration to be with her. I don't feel like if there's a phone call, I don't feel like she would berate this person, or because again, she carries this loving, nurturing energy naturally. But now she is, what do I want to say? I feel ready, but again, not just for anyone. And if someone comes towards her, let's say this person didn't clear this past energy, she would know that. And your spiritual team is saying that. Like that you would know that. You will feel this. This is great, because all of a sudden I'm feeling like I will feel very quickly whether it's truth or lie. I feel like it's the truth. All right, let's take the major arcanas and then we'll come back and clarify a few of these. But I do want to signify that I do feel like the wheel is representing not just this lifetime, but also a past lifetime. And I am getting the sense of something was left uncompleted. You know, maybe you weren't able to come together. When I'm done with all the signs, I am doing a past life reading. And I just know that a lot of you are going to relate to it. I just know it. I just know it. All right. So I'm going to shuffle for these. So these are the major arcanas that's connecting the two of you. What's connecting you? I even like that this king is looking towards the future. The king here is looking right at me, which means to me present moment energy. So first present moment, and then I feel like, and then we go forward if you accept. Okay. Start at the beginning. We have the strength card. That makes sense. Look at this. And again, this is what's connecting the two of you. Destiny. Destiny. I love this image because this is someone who's about to spin the wheel with blind faith. That means they're trusting in divine. Wherever the wheel ends up is where I go. Well, hello, lovers. Hello, lovers. And look at Cupid above there. To me, it's just representing angels' influence. So the lovers is card of Gemini. The meaning is a head over heart decision. And I'm sure that's going to be part of it. But to me, the lovers is undeniable chemistry. You know, it's almost like when these two touch hands, are just about to touch hands, I feel like sparks will fly. And then we have the tower. So, I mean, you know, it makes sense. Lovers in a past lifetime, lovers in a current lifetime. Two wheels, destiny, two lovers, makes sense. This king holding this pentacle, added to the nine of pentacles, brings us to the 10 of pentacles. And to me, the 10 of pentacles is a house of loyalty, a house that truly can take root. So I don't feel like this is anything that's gonna be just for a moment. I feel like if we decide to go forward, then I feel like this is the person you'll spend the rest of your life with. And destiny is playing a big part of the in this. And even the strength card. Because I feel like this is what this king is saying. Like there are these inner battles that I had to deal with, you know, and it's only the king or queen, whoever's energy it belongs to, and it may be both. Um, but this is like this is what I have to do. This is the work I have to do. This is really finding balance. And ultimately, it's the energy of courage. She even has the infinity goggles on. That's the infinity number. As above, so below. No beginning, no end. It just feels like your time. The tower, I feel like I kind of feel more past life, but I feel like something happened. It ended. I do feel like, listen, I feel like whoever ended it broke the other person's heart. But ultimately, I feel like the other lover also went through that heartache. Once they started to truly have that realization, it's like, why did I let them go? Why didn't I just stop doing what I was doing? So I feel like they've gone through a lot of reflection, which I feel like the Empress would require. But the Empress is sitting right next to the lovers, and it's even connecting this king with the Empress. All right, let's look at the bottom of the deck, or the bottom of the decks, and then we'll bring out the Cosmic Tarot. Two of Pentacles. Makes sense. Because, this is a question. Should I or shouldn't I? They call this the Juggler's card. I feel like this is about using one's logical mind. And it's really mirroring the Empress. So that's exactly what she would do. Like, she's not going to let fear. I don't even think she carries much fear. Why? Because she knows who she is now. I feel like she's become successful in her own right. But I also feel so is the king. And it merely feels to me that it was lower vibrational energy that caused a lot of things. When I think of the strength card, I don't know why I think this, but it can certainly talk about, like maybe I drank a lot back in the day. And because I drank a lot, I made stupid decisions. Now I know that. Maybe I had a hard time being honest. Why? Because I was afraid of dealing with consequences. But now I know that. Okay? Page of Wands. That's your inner child. This is the true you. This is someone who takes chances. And, I call the Page of Wands my fool all the time. And the reason why is because I feel like the page is willing to take that leap of faith. And, the page learns that not all these chances pay off. But this is someone who gets back up again. I fall down, I get back up again. I don't know why I can never remember the words to that song. Look at that, Three of Wands, optimism. Optimism. You know, this is like saying I expect good things to happen and they do. This is someone who's living in the present moment. It is reminding me of the Empress. This is someone who says to divine, I know that my ships will come in, but in the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy my present moment. This can be taking a different perspective, looking at it through an optimistic lens. There's no fear here. Now, when I say there's no fear, I'm not going to say that, like, there won't be butterflies and things like that, but not the type of fear, because I feel like you've cleared it, actually. That's why. So, optimism. All right, let's bring in the cosmic tarot. And there's a couple things I want to look at. Let's give him a cut. All right. So, trying to think, what do I want to look at? Let's go up and look at the Three of Swords because it's sitting right next to the wheel. We have the Nine of Wands, which we also have right here. Someone having that realization of the heartache that I caused. He looks like the page. Someone who had to deal with their own inner demons that I feel they have. I really feel like that they understand truly their actions and the heartache that it has caused. Now, I feel like they've reflected over their whole life, but you being a major part of that. Just, we keep getting these young energies. Hello, sun. Your illuminator. The sun represents a brand new day. And this can help ease your mind because when you see the sun, anything that is done in the dark will come to the light. Well, I do feel like a lot has come to the light for, I keep wanting to say the king, but just put yourself where you feel like you belong. We have double Leo on the board, by the way. This is Leo's ruler. The sun is a great omen in a reading. Not only the Nine of Wands coming out of that Three of Swords, but now the sun. And then we have, interesting, the Princess of Wands with the Page, the Princess of Swords with the Page of Swords right here. So they're mirroring each other. So I feel like any conversation that's going to take place is taking place in the light. If you feel that you're in the Empress's energy, then you really don't have anything to fear because your energy will let you know. Again, that sun, it's their illuminator, but it's also your illuminator. It makes things clear. But I love the Princess of Swords and the Prince of Swords mirroring each other, both of them sharing the sun. So that Three of Swords, unfortunately, it happened, but I don't feel like it's not something we can't overcome. And as it relates to a past life, I feel like even that ultimately or eventually, it's kind of like you're going to rediscover that. It feels like a lot of the soulmates are coming together through some type of communication. But yet, then I think of social media, like Facebook or, like is someone, because, you can see what other people are doing through their Facebook. Some people share a lot. And I do feel like both people are single or at least on their way. I do feel like both people are successful. And this may be in part of why the timing may have seemed long for you. But I want you to keep in mind that our soul's purpose is not, it is love, but loving what you're doing, right? Love of your neighbor, love of your fellow man and woman, but also romantic love and how to love. You know, sometimes we just don't know how to love. And this is part of the growth system. Sometimes we got to kiss a lot of frogs to find our ultimate prince or princess. Here they are. So I feel like that Three of Swords, that heartache, I feel like it's going to go away. It's going to go away through honest communication. Now, let's say that you were together in a past life, which I do feel you were, but not in this lifetime. I still feel the same thing. Like it's going to come through some type of communication. And there could be similarities between you and them within your lifetime. Like, things that happen in your life has also happened in their life. The struggles that you've gone through, they have probably gone through. And, with the strength card here twice, it could talk about each needing to, each having to go through that energy of really knowing oneself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I know with the Empress here, if you're not the Empress, then they are. And the Empress is of a higher vibrational energy. But that's because she's able to put the past behind her. All right, well, that takes the sting out of the Three of Swords. All right. Um, I'm going to look right at this king here, who's right in the middle of the reading right now, and who's looking right at me. Oh my. First of all, hello, Princess of Cups. She's actually holding that cup in her hand. And look what came out. The Emperor. You. And how beautiful to have the Emperor and the Empress in a love reading. Now, when this person says that they have grown, we know they have. The Emperor is someone that normally we can look up to. This is someone who, much like the Empress, has gone through the experiences of all the kings. Both of them are, I feel, natural healers. Whether I do that for a living, it doesn't matter. It's just the energy. But, it's like saying to this princess, like, look at how I have grown. I am someone you can count on now. When you see the Emperor and the Empress in a love reading, know that this is the highest level I feel that we can reach on a human level. But look at this princess. Like she's going to accept that cup. This speaks about unexpected love and whether I'm going to accept it or not. But she's actually holding the cup. So we know now that King of Wands is the Emperor. Okay. So I believe him. I believe him. All right, let's look at the wheel because we do have the wheel twice. And then we have the lovers underneath that wheel. So let's look at the wheels. Let's look at both of them. Let's see what connects them. Three of Wands. Something is telling me to say, sometimes we got to step out of the way. Sometimes we have to believe that really all is possible. And I know it's hard to believe, right, until something actually happens. But I feel like what this is saying, the more that we can be in this optimistic energy, well, I don't want to say the better our chances. I feel like it's going to happen no matter what. It's whether we're going to allow it to continue. So, what I mean is, I feel like this communication is going to happen no matter what. And I love that the Three of Wands is connecting these two wheels together. And then look at this, the star. Your hopes, your dreams, your wishes. This is about manifesting them. But listen, it's already on your wheel. It's already part of this destiny. Like these hopes and dreams, your wishes, I feel like what divine is saying is believe in it. Believe in it. Believe it in your soul. It feels like that energy again of what I'm seeking is also seeking me. You just don't know it until you know it. You know what I mean? And that's what the Three of Wands is all about. It is like releasing control and just trusting in divine. That these dreams, this hope, this love will have an opportunity to come, I want to say, back together. You know what? I just remembered I did Aquarius's reading yesterday or the day before. And at the end of their reading, in the major arcanas, the Empress and the Emperor came out together. Kind of blew my mind, but they did. They came out together. You also have the Emperor and the Empress. And then you have a card of Aquarius. So some of you may be connected to an Aquarius. And if that's the case, I'd also watch Aquarius. It's not that long. Well, for some, it's not that long. For some, it may be, they may say, if it's longer than 10 minutes, it's too long. I don't know how you can get like real answers in 10 minutes. But so again, we're looking at see what's connecting the wheel. Wishes, dreams. It's like you're both wishing upon the same star. You just don't know it. Like, I know you're out there. I know you're out there. Pink flamingo. What would that mean? Pink flamingo. There's got to be a symbol for that, or, it must mean something. But I can't think of what it would mean. Florida? All right. I'm going to kind of leave this out for a second because now I want to look at this wheel. Even though I am looking at both wheels, I feel like you're both wishing upon the same star. I feel like the more I can let go of control and maybe just believe that all is possible. Things are only impossible until they become possible. I mean, we can just look at technology to understand that. But I do want to see the lovers now. Wow, that didn't take long. Look at what just flipped itself around. The strength card. Someone is not bullshitting you. They are not lying. We have the Hermit. We're in the year of the Hermit. And that's what I'm asking for. I want to know about this year. Interesting. Next year, we're moving into the energy of the Magician. It's going to be powerful. This year is about reflection. But these nines tell me that this reflection has taken place. Hermit, the wise old ones, definitely, to me, represents your past lives also. This is, the Hermit can be energy that kind of knocks you to your knees, like the dark night of the soul. But in that energy, I'm really seeking the light. Maybe that's the only reason. Like, if something didn't bring me to my knees, maybe I never would have seek the light. But this is about coming out the other end, understanding, right? Having clarity. This is about spirituality. Also, card of Virgo, by the way. And then we have the King of Pentacles again. So for some of you, it's the King of Pentacles. But it's funny because as soon as I said that, I wanted to take that statement back. Not that it can't be the King of Pentacles. It can be. But what I really feel like this is saying is, again, someone who, I just feel like they had a hard time being good. I guess that's the word. Like, I had a hard time being good. And I get this sense that when they were young, there wasn't much supervision. And I have a feeling they found themselves in some trouble. And maybe it is that trouble that brought them to their knees. You know, I'm not going to say they were in jail or anything like that, but I do feel like there was some type of isolation, some type of solitude, where during the solitude, this is what really opened up, you know, the the willingness to really examine one's life. The thing about the King of Pentacles is when he looks at a situation, he looks at the big picture. The Queen of Pentacles is the one who breaks it down. But maybe this is not about breaking it down. It's about seeing the big picture of it all. I also love that the Hermit just came out. Again, connecting destiny with the lovers. And then representing 2025. The Strength card in reverse, they have overcome. And maybe you have overcome. I don't want to put it all on them. Maybe it is all on them, but because I feel like we opened the reading with the King and Queen of Wands connected. And now we have the Emperor and the Empress. That is tremendous growth. Tremendous growth. Spiritual growth. But even, earthly growth. When I say spiritual growth, it's the ability now to really trust within my spirituality as it relates to making decisions. That's why the Empress is not a fear-based energy. She's been there. She had been, she probably built walls before, but those walls have come down. You can't call at least this is what I feel. Like, I can't say that I'm this spiritual being, but I am never going to forgive. Now, if you, though it is up to you. That's what the Two of Pentacles is talking about. Like you'll make that ultimate decision. But if there's a conversation where someone is telling you that, number one, that they realized the things that they have done, I feel like that's first and foremost. And then a potential apology. And those are for those who know who this person is in this lifetime. But even if you know who this is, I still feel like you lived past lives together. Maybe 3, maybe more. But how beautiful. How beautiful. It's interesting because the Hermit is a card of Virgo, the Lovers is a card of Gemini, and both of them are ruled by Mercury. We have the Page of Swords. Page of Swords. I thought we saw the Princess of Swords. Maybe she was in the clarifiers. Okay. Is there anything else I want to ask? You know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go across the board. I already know some people are going to say, no way. And completely your choice. But what I would say, well, I don't want to go against what you think, but I would say maybe just hear what someone has to say and then make a decision. I'm just bringing these closer to you so you can see them better. Someday I'll get a good phone and shoot from my phone so you can see the cards straight down, but that is for another day. Okay. Um, I don't even feel like I have to look at the tower because the tower mirroring the strength card, I know what it is. You know, I know what it is. It's someone's inner demons that, they probably didn't even know that at the time. It's like someone who, let's say, like as a teenager, many of us, that's when we start drinking or, you know, doing those type of things. But someone may have gotten stuck. Like someone may have realized that when I drink too much. I can't control, I couldn't control it. I didn't know when enough was enough. And therefore, I made some stupid choices. And I do feel like they know that. Like they know. And I do feel very strongly that someone feels like you are the one who got away. But they know it's because of their own actions. You know, maybe someone has been looking on Facebook or Instagram or some type of social media because I feel like someone may have become single and that may activate this person be like, oh, wait a minute. He or she just became single. Maybe I should just reach out. Maybe I should take a chance. All right, so I'm going to go right across the board and ask our guides any messages that I may have missed or anything else that you would like Aries and those intuitively guided here to know. Please come out now. Please come out now. The world, the next chapter. The world means something has come to completion and something new is opening up. Number one, we know that this 9-year cycle is coming to completion and we're entering into a brand new cycle. But I feel like this is talking about the opportunity of two coming together, and it just feels like the right time. Again, each may have recently became single, and that opens the door. The Chariot. Unlimited potential. But it requires something first. Balance. The feminine and the masculine. The light and the dark. And when we have that balance, then there's nothing that can come between us. Aries, I feel so strongly that someone understands the issues that they had. And when they say that they've overcome them, I believe them. I believe them. Two major arcanas back to back, by the way. And how beautiful that the world signifying the next chapter. By the way, this woman is naked, which to me is a symbol of being exactly who I am, like being comfortable in my own skin, nothing to hide. We have the Five of Cups. That makes sense. Five of Cups. First of all, it's a five. And it can talk about where one's focus is at. Well, I feel like this is where that person's focus has been. But what sits behind this energy? You can't see it in this image. That sucks. Because usually you'll see two cups behind them. But they don't see it. Because they're focusing on the cups that have been knocked over. But the five is asking them to refocus, believe in the potential of what can be. Means it's moving someone to their soulmate. Because I don't feel like anyone is in this energy any longer. Matter of fact, I feel like this person has had these realizations. And then we have the Five of Wands. Interesting, two fives back to back. Two changes. You know, I can't pretend that everyone who watches this is going to be like all excited, because I feel like there's going to be a few who are just going to say no. And by the way, that's fine. It doesn't mean that you won't have love. But it also makes me think, then, am I truly in the Empress's energy? Because this really feels meant to be. And divine bringing out the wheel, your destiny. Two wheels. Bringing the lovers, connecting the lovers. All right, well, I'm not going to end on a five. So let's take the tower. You have the tower right there. It's almost like showing us why that tower happened, right? Like emotionally, I couldn't give what someone needed at the time. Again, a lot of drama, maybe ego, like, I was more in my ego than I was in my heart. But the tower literally puts an end to that. So the tower could be you leaving. Because I kind of feel like it's their tower. All right, just tell me, spirit guides, am I on the right path with that? Am I reading that right? King of Swords. We have all kinds of people on the board, but you know what? That covers a lot of people. Interesting. Judgment, but it came in reverse. That's interesting because this is your spiritual team and they're calling you to the present moment. This is about using your intuition. When you see judgment, know that there will also be signs. But I feel like someone may not be paying attention. Someone may not be hearing their guides or trusting the signs. And if you're uncertain, like, was this a sign for me? But you're not sure, ask your guides to send it again. Oh my, Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles means this is coming into your physical world. And I keep seeing that King of Pentacles with that, or yeah, the King of Pentacles holding that pentacle. We have the Nine of Pentacles. Put that with the Ace of Pentacles. Again, it brings us to the Ten of Pentacles. But that's what the Ace of Pentacles means. It's coming into your physical world. It's tangible. It may start in communication, but it's interesting because I get this feeling of like someone not completely trusting, but yet then it does actually show. Six of Wands, that's the energy of victory and success. The Eight of Swords, the Ten of Wands under judgment. And then look at this. Well, hello, soulmates. And how interesting that this is going to be the last card, other than the romance angels, that the soulmates made it out. It's like, I feel like we're going to get mixed reviews. Let me just say it this way. If someone's not feeling balanced, then it's hard to pick up on the signs. And I feel like, unfortunately the Eight of Swords had a show. But I don't feel like this is something that, well, let's just say whoever created that, because it's a self-created prison is what it is. It's trying to protect myself, but it doesn't really protect me. Your energy, right? Your ability to read energy, feel it. That's what protects you. And I feel like that's what some of your spirit guides are saying. Like put down the walls. Whether you say yes or no to this, it's still having walls up won't do anybody any good. I feel like For those who know this person, I feel like there's someone who has wanted to reach out, but I feel like they were afraid. They were afraid. I feel also that, it's interesting because we saw the Emperor and the Empress. So I do feel like whoever created these walls, I feel like they did put him down. I don't feel like they had an easy life. You know what I feel like? I feel like they may have been in a relationship where things were bad. Oh, excuse me one second. Okay, sorry about that. I had a knock at my door. Um, but anyways, I feel like let's not harp on the past. I feel like it's simply, it's not simple, but do I feel like there is true growth? I do. This may have been part of their soul's lesson also. The ability to learn that I can overcome. But I do feel like if you loved in this lifetime, since then, there hasn't been anybody like you. There just hasn't been. And I feel like this person could have gotten, like, found themselves in relationships that just didn't work out. But listen, in a way, this is what taught them. This is what put them in that state of reflection. So it was probably meant to be. And, that's part of love. Like, when we're younger, some are blessed with finding that perfect person right on, in their young years and spending the rest of their lives together. But not everyone is blessed with that. But I also feel not everybody's soul came here just for this. Okay, let me correct that. I do feel like you did come here to find each other in this lifetime. I do feel that. But I do feel there were other things also. Like what this person had to overcome, which was of their own making. I have a feeling their soul wanted that challenge. And so their soul got it. And they did overcome. It may have taken a lot, it may have taken time. But look at this, the Ace of Pentacles right there with the soulmates. And just the way it's lying, the Chariot, unlimited potential for the feminine and the masculine. The Ace of Pentacles coming into your physical world. Remember though, the Ace of Pentacles, it starts as a seed. And it's going to be up to us to nurture that seed. Some decks you'll see two hands nurturing that seed, and they're two different hands, like the masculine and the feminine, but both are nurturing that seed. And that's, if you nurture this seed, it only grows and grows and blossoms. And I feel like it just sets off new seeds. So it's like one blessing after another blessing. So it may start with communication, but then it has the opportunity to become, well, coupled. Definitely reconnecting you. Okay, let's bring out the romance angels. Interesting how I say I do these readings. What I'm trying to do also is not make all my readings too long, but then every time I try that, they end up longer than the one before. All right, so romance angels. We already have the lovers, we have the soulmates. Heart to heart conversations. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. That's exactly what I feel is going to happen. Heart to heart conversations. And then make a decision. Oh my. Calling in your soulmate. Well, remember the star? Both are wishing upon the same star. What are they doing? They're calling in their soulmate. Now, this could be on a subconscious level, but I have a feeling if that's the case, your guides are putting it within you. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. Calling in your soulmate. There they are. There they are. This optimism, this letting go of needing to control and allowing things to flow, I feel like it's going to be very important. And again, it is up to you. I am not trying to talk anybody into anything because I do feel like some of you did have, you did go through some heartache. And those for the ones I feel like in this lifetime. But I also feel something was left uncompleted in a last lifetime. That's why I cannot wait to do this past life reading. But look how you not only have the lovers, but then the soulmate. And you actually are calling in your soulmate. Consciously, subconsciously. And then the advice, the heart to heart conversations. So I feel like these conversations, they're going to be long. They're going to be long. The first one may be a little short because some may be uncertain. But I feel others, especially because we saw the Emperor and the Empress, I feel like your heart's going to be open to this. I feel like your heart's actually calling in this soulmate. So I would say, if you can, which I know you can, let's put it a different way. If you choose, listen. Listen. Listen to what they're saying. Because you know how to read energy now. And you'll know whether they're speaking the truth. I already know they are. And even the sun that showed, right? Your illuminator. So if something of a dark nature is coming towards you, it will be illuminated. It will be illuminated. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. Like, I don't want to even, it's just going to happen. Interesting. I just realized 2 towers, 2 wheels. So some of you definitely past lives. This 3 swords is not the first time. But I do feel like it will be the last time. Because the angels influence over the lovers now. You know, the only thing I worry about is someone is not trusting in their intuition, or that was the case. And I want to make it clear, I am not talking about a narcissist. I am not talking about an abuser. I'm talking about someone who I get the feeling like I drank too much and then made stupid choices. Or there's something within them, like within oneself, that caused me to do things that now I regret. And I do feel like you're the one who got away. You're the one who got away. All right, I'm going to let this be. I didn't even want it to be this long, but it needs to be whatever it needed to be. Page of Wands, the risk taker. And I want to remind you that you may be that person. You may be that person who had to like really look within. Remember that. It can be either way. And I'm not going to say, you know, one was horrible and one was perfect because I feel like both of us were growing, but we were probably growing in different ways. And I do feel that in this reading, that the time in between was because your souls each had like other lessons. Theirs was to learn how to be courageous, how to overcome. Yours, I feel, was more about your spirituality, about what you do for a living, because I feel it's something. Well, number one, I don't feel like this is saying this is anything you're giving up. If anything, because we keep seeing that extra ace, this could be someone who, if nothing else, I feel like you could feed ideas off of. Again, the Emperor and the Empress, both natural healers, you know, and both of them have been through it, but have grown because of it. Okay, I'm going to let that be. I swear I could go on and on and on. Um, thank you guys. I love you. Um, I would say just stay open. Just stay open. That's all. Remember, in the Three of Wands, optimistic lens, right? You can even say, I expect good things to happen, and they do. Listen, if I expect bad things to happen, well, I think of the law of attraction. The intentions that I'm putting out there, even calling in your soulmate, says that your prayers, your affirmations is what helps bring this together. Now, I feel like it's destined, but I feel like it's about when each is ready, when each is, let's just say, of the same vibrational level. Never would I say lower your vibration to be with another. The opposite. If someone wants to be with me, then their vibration must be of a higher vibration. And I do feel like that's exactly what you're going to find. So I'm going to let that be. I know I just said that. So thank you guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know where you're at in the reading, how you relate to it, if you will. You don't have to. But, you know, let me tell you one more thing. I've been getting a lot of comments from people who are meeting people out of the blue. People who thought they were never going to have love again are now finding love again. And all you have to do is read the comments. This is not me saying it, it's them. It's how my love story happened. It's how really I feel every love story happens. Right? We can definitely put our prayers and and visualize it, but then just trust. Go about your day, do your thing, and then expect the unexpected. I'll see you next time at our table. Bye bye.